Hi, folks. Welcome back to Critter's Corner. For those of you that thought that the conservative people are just exaggerating and just giving out just horrible information and the worst case scenarios will never come true, well, it's here. Shadow libraries implement racial segregation in the name of social justice. And it's coming to a school and a college near you. The King County Library in Washington State have been holding separate but equal training sessions for their employees, all in the name of social justice. So what is this now? The different version of Jim Crow? This is what's going on. This is what Democrats have always done. Always. Let's take a look. The King County Library in Washington State have been holding separate but equal training sessions for their employees, all in the name of social justice. Yeah, I'll bet. Of course. This is crazy. For those of you that thought that maybe this is nonsense, here it is. This is racial segregation in 2020. King County, Washington Library System is holding separate equal training sessions for employees in the name of social justice. It's time for the Justice Department to stop to this madness. People who are white, people of color. So let's get stupid here for a minute. Let's get stupid here for a minute. I'm a mixed race person. What do? My father's black, my mother's white. What do? Or my father's half black and white, my mother's white. Or my mother's Latino and my father's half white, half black. This is stupid. This is separating people by race. We went through this nonsense in the South, in the Jim Crow days, and in the North, too. Even California, the Academy Awards, when Butterfly McQueen won her Academy Award, they had to in separate areas. It's insane. According to Chris Rufo, a lawmaker and director of the Discovery Institute Center on Wealth and Poverty, at the King County Library System, a private consulting firm called Racial Equity Consultants recently held racially segregated listening sessions as a part of the library's ongoing racial justice programs. Consultants began with the anti-oppression framework and used segregated sessions in order to root out institutional privileges and systematic inequities embedded in the current socio-political conditions that influence and affect our institutions. What a crock of bullshit. This is what's coming, folks. This is what's coming. This is why I'm no longer a Democrat. And for all you Democrats out there, the old holdouts that are just normal Democrats, you're going to have to deal with this, folks. These are the people you're going to have to be voting for if you want to vote Democrat. It's insane. Your party is self-destructing. I wouldn't mind so much if they self-destruct or they're taking the rest of us with them. The consultants discover widespread institutional racism in the library system. Oh, what? The books are categorized by color? And dismissed employees who reported not experiencing or witnessing racism while working at KCLS as likely suffering from the false consciousness of internalized racism. Jesus. So even if you don't see any and there isn't any, there's still stuff there because you're internalizing it. This is ridiculous. I wonder how much money these people are making. I'm not kidding. When reached by email, the racial equity consultant said it is not authorized to comment. Rufo told the Post-Millennial that the pictures of the signs for the training sessions he posted on social media today came from a whistleblower and reminded him signs on segregated water fountains in the 1950s. Do you think? Here's the sick part. In the Jim Crow days, separate but equal was supposedly the mantra. These guys are doing it and they're getting paid huge money. This is sick. It's ridiculous, but even worse. It's in our elementary schools. Unbelievable. Segregation was wrong in the 1950s, is wrong today, especially in King County. Wait for it. Named after Martin Luther King Jr. Dr. King would be so pissed right now. He would be furious. Internalized racism, intersectionality. You got to be out of your minds. According to Rufo, similar sessions are being held at the Veterans Administration Puget Sound facility. Seriously, Mr. President, get on this. And the King County Prosecutor's Office. At the VAPS, the local leadership has launched a series of racially segregated caucuses for individuals who identify as white. Yeah, that's the other thing. If you can become any one of the 1,000+ genders at any given day, how about if I just say, well, I feel like I'm black today. Well, I'm going to sit with the black people. This is so effed up, it's unbelievable. Individual identify as African American or black, and individual identify as people of color. How about white? People aren't white anyway. Did you ever see what a white looks like in a paint store? That's not what people look like. King County Prosecutor Dan Setterberg and senior staff have recently required employees to sign the Equity and Social Justice Pledge and assign continued training for white employees. How about the other employees? Oh, I guess they don't count. This is insane. This is insane. Who must do the work to learn the true history of racism in our country. Everybody knows the history of racism in our country. People are tribal. Some people are racist. That's the way it is. And over the last, I'll be 64 next month. And when I was 10, 12 years old, it's a lot less than it is back then. And it wasn't really that much back then where I live in upstate New York. People have come around over time, but not by getting banged over the head with crap like this. You talk to them sensibly. You say, listen, all people are the same. Now, I will have to say, in all fairness, God does not give out his gifts equally, but that's a different issue. If that's the case, then I can sue the NBA for not letting me play. Well, I don't have the athletic ability. That's what's required to be in the NBA. Rufo said that every time he writes an article or posts a picture from the sessions, more whistleblowers come forward. Washington state government officials, especially those in King County and Seattle, have been infusing critical race theory. That's another pile of crap. It's like gender studies. This is so ridiculous. And you know, when I was a Democrat, I was a local elected one here in upstate New York, and they were a small percent of our party, even up here, they're like these retards. And I use that word purposely, retards. There's something wrong with them. Anyway, there was always a few that were like this, but it was just an annoyance in the party. But now they've basically taken over into their politics and training, including in public schools. Earlier this year, the Post-Millennial exposed critical race theory practices and curriculum being practiced and taught in Seattle schools. Seattle Public Schools released a plan to bring students back into the classroom for remote learning. But it differentiated the priorities for those who should come back first based on many factors, including a measure of those who were marginalized. Per the guidelines, students furthest from educational justice and students of color would be given priority on returning to school for face-to-face instruction. Let me read that again. Students furthest from educational justice and students of color would be given priority in returning to school for face-to-face instruction. They don't have the same textbooks as the white kid sitting next to them. They don't have the same textbook as the Latino kid or whatever their race is. Who cares? Nobody cares. The textbook doesn't care, and the information they're trying to learn doesn't care. Documents from the Superintendent of Public Instruction, Chris, I don't want to butcher the name though, Raicato, outlined the phased approach, prioritizing grade levels such as serve all elementary students first, or serve students furthest from educational justice, including students with disabilities, English learners, students experiencing homelessness, students experiencing poverty, students of color, and other students groups. What were the rest of the kids supposed to do? Stay home? This is insane. This past summer, Seattle's public school superintendent, Denise Junot, sent an email to students only saying this country has a long history of oppressing people of color, especially black and African American people. The last couple of weeks We have seen demonstrations of systematic racism on display across our country to the point of murder of black people. I share in the horror and sadness displayed by the police system across the country and by some officers here in our own city. They just want to inflame things. They want things to be turmoil. Seattle is a mess. A mess. So was Portland. Students in Washington, as young as 11 years old, to refer to a riot as an uprising, and rioters as freedom fighters, and that cops are racist. Students were even encouraged to donate bail funds that have recently been tied to help release an accused child rapist. I'm just going to show this additional principal prompts. I mean, I want to start swearing here, but I can't. It's YouTube. So you can pause the video and read this if you want to. Globalism, diversity, loving engagement. Were there moments in your life when you do not act out of love or see people not being treated with dignity or justly? Of course, people suck. We treat each other terribly. I suck too. I like to think that I'm in the group that sucks a little bit and not a lot. We do our best. And when we F up, we try not to do it again. This isn't brain surgery. Let me keep scrolling down here. Collective value. I don't want to get into this. Black families. You spend more time. Black villages. Black women. I mean, this is absolutely insane. Black Lives Matter at school. This is what's coming, folks. This is what's coming to a school near you. They're indoctrinating us. And here's the schedule. Trans affirming, queer affirming, and collective value. This is insane. Restorative justice, empathy, and loving engagement. Black women and unapologetically black. Why would you apologize for being black? Why would you apologize? Well, they want us to apologize for being white. It's just so stupid. You shouldn't apologize at all for what you are. You had absolutely zero say. Your genetic makeup had nothing to do with your permission. That's what you got. Who's going to apologize for it? Oh, there's multiple ways to participate. Oh, joy. Purchase a BLM t-shirt and wear it on Monday and Friday of BLM week. Oh, I guess Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday doesn't count. Look at this is just ridiculous. I'm not going to read all of this. People of Color Caucus, Black Caucus, and the White Caucus. UW segregated these caucuses into three. The Black Caucus, the People of Color Caucus. So I guess that must be the mixed race or Asian Indian or Pacific Asian. And then the White Caucus. This is what the Nazis did. This is what the people did in the South under the Democratic rule, I might add, of Jim Crow. Democrats did that. In digging further, the source list and is truly behind this exercise. It also recommends in defense of looting and notes that finally this New York Times article is a great primer for the reasons behind asked to defund the police. Why it's time to stop defunding the police. You know what? I don't want to read it anymore. But I want to tell you guys something. There's government agencies and there's tax money involved. You saw a military VA place. This is what's coming. And it looks like there's nothing that can stop it. I know you people out there, a lot of you hate Donald Trump. He's hanging on the edge of a cliff by his fingernails. And the rest of the decent people in the United States are hanging on to him. I don't know why it ended up like that. I don't know why Donald Trump ended up being the breastwork for this madness, but that's just the way it worked out. Sometimes in history, the most unlikely and ridiculous people end up being in places that you never thought they were at. And I'm not saying Donald Trump is ridiculous. I'm just saying that's the way history works out sometimes. Call it providence, call it just whatever you want to call it. That's just the way it is now. People who are white, people of color. Oh, they forgot to sign for the black people. Oh, that must be on a different day. This is crazy. This is what's coming. This is why, for this year and maybe even next year, every single person at the local level, all the way through to the president, that has a D in front of their name, do not vote for them. And I'm not saying that out of meanness. I've said this before. The only way the Democrat Party is going to survive and save itself from this insanity is if it crashes to the ground and burns into ashes. And they can build it back up into a proper party, the United States, and contribute to this country. Do not let them take positions of authority in the bureaucrats, and slowly you're sifting into agencies and school districts and universities. You think COVID-19 was a dangerous virus? This virus is 50 times more contagious, and it's 50 times more deadly. And I don't say that lightly. It's coming. It's coming to your city. Anybody above the age of 40 should be horrified. Under 40, take a breath. Walk away from this madness. And if you're in school and you're young, just go through the motions and pretend you know it's BS. But do it anyway because you have to. And then maybe your parents or maybe somebody can go to the school board or maybe even your congressperson. Try to go somewhere, but just keep your head down and let your parents take care of it. Do not disrupt the class unless they make you do something that's totally outrageous, and just refuse. That's my advice to anybody out there. Now, my kids are in their 30s. They're grown, and I have a granddaughter that's not quite 2 years old yet. So, but this is what's coming. And what are we going to do with these kids once they reach 12, 13, 14, 15? They'll be so brainwashed. They'll be like cult members. It'll be impossible. It's insane. It's insane. If you didn't see any racism, you didn't see any injustice, that means you've internalized your racism because it's there every minute of every day. It's in the ether. You need special X-ray glasses to see it because it's just there. This is crazy. This is crazy. Anyway, folks, I thought you'd like to see this. I was watching Tim Pool, and he had this on, and I had to do something on it because we did need to spread the word. Well, there it is, folks. Read it and weep, as they say. Well, thanks for your attention and thanks for your time. And until next time, goodbye and good luck.